We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such.
I know y'all tired of it, but we got a new season of The Pass. Welcome to season 8, the Mamba Year. Podcast available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of your podcast platforms. Here you'll get a dose of content related to tech, the productivity world, and most importantly, how to be a better you. The theme for this year, personally, is receiving grace. And we definitely want to do better with receiving it and being open to being a better us from who we were a year ago. So this is season 8 of The Pass, and I hope you all enjoy.
For some reason, I don't care about studies show or statistics show or research shows. Don't care about those things anymore. And why I'm starting with that this morning, believe it or not, I've been in some very strong headspaces the last few weeks. Nothing's wrong. There's no health concerns of any sort, even as I'm sniffling and struggling this morning. But in many cases, we are really taught to embrace life for what it is. I'm not gonna make this some drawn out discussion because it's not. But I want to talk about this because it was put on me this morning, and it kind of was how I ended last night too, because I've really been in a bit of a back and forth state with writing digital, writing digital, writing digital. Do I stick to the old school and write by hand, or do I go and start voicing things out and keeping transcriptions of stuff? And it's such a dilemma that it's a diluted dilemma. And the reason it's become diluted more than anything is because I am not in a state where I'm not very fond of, let me let me not say that. I value and embrace podcasting 100%. It has been my wheelhouse for over 8 years. There's a war, for lack of a better term, there's a war with words involving podcasting that sometimes can be a challenge. And that is, I've recorded over 400 shows. Could I go back and listen to them and gather what was talked about as information and resources? Absolutely. Do I personally have that kind of time to sit and do that? Absolutely not. But on the flip side, I've kept notebooks, I've kept journals. This is the unofficial second year that I've been doing bullet journaling. And when I say unofficial, I mean I've been doing it for 4 years, but two of my bullet journals miraculously disappeared. And as I'm talking about this now, I think I've come up with a solution because current bullet journal that I'm in is almost done, which it happens. Like it's nothing to be upset about, but it also the reality that comes with bullet journaling. And what I'm likely going to do is take There was a bullet journal that I bought from someone, Journal by Design. And in her notebook, I use it kind of as like a midway point from another bullet journal. So I may do the same thing. I just need to find the first one and kind of migrate it. So I'm not, I don't want to say wasting notebooks, but so I'm getting the best out of what I have. Because I didn't realize it. And it's one of those things you don't think about until it happens. But this year, there's a lot of pen to paper than I thought. At first I was like, oh, I wrote, I've been writing some ideas down. I've been jotting some notes. But then I went back and looked and I was like, bro, you are really notating quite a bit of information, which is in no way, shape, or form is a bad thing. It's just an adjustment when you have been so routine to writing what what's on your mind. But to the initial point of me recording today, pen and paper is becoming a safe space without me realizing that it's a safe space. Do I love do I love my tablets? Do I love my tech? Absolutely. I am the epitome of a tech lover. And I say it that way because if it wasn't, if it was not for technology, I wouldn't be where I'm now. And that's a tall message when you think about it in that capacity, because I could be doing hundreds, if not thousands of other things. But tech somehow brings me back. And now especially with what I'm doing now and really trying to gather and gain the resources and the tools to become a better developer and a better person, it's real. But yesterday, and it came up in my journal yesterday, but it also is a noticeable thing during the week. There are some days that I am just quote unquote carrying my notebooks PR. And there are other days that I actually stop and take time. And the thing that's so bad, whether it's journaling, whether it's bullet journaling, whether it's planning, whatever you want to cue it up as, it doesn't take up that much time. The only part of it that takes up the most time is the thing that I am afraid to do more than anything, which is block the world. And funny enough, I think right now my phone might be a little over 8 hours blocked. And I'm saying that now, but I don't remember the exact number. Yeah, 5 hours. And some people in that 5 hour span gotta go online. Now, being transparent, sure. I go on my tablet, I may check out some stuff here and there, but it's really not an extended long period of time. Only because I know the torture involved with becoming overly yet unintentionally uh, attached to the phone. Like I know this almost comes up as a conversation without me knowing it's a conversation, but tech will really find a way to tether you when you don't ask to be tethered. And So many of you who might have heard that term, and it's not even from a tech aspect, it's just from a general verbiage of being attached. And it's very like draining on the mind. And even I was just helping someone with a podcast yesterday, and we had that conversation where transitioning from things to other things becomes different. And what I mean by that is, and I talked about this on a walk before, there are videos on YouTube, 100% I know I shouldn't be watching. They're not, they're not enjoyable. A lot of times they're background noise. I'm open and admitting I didn't watch night one of basketball. And the only reason why is because it's not that I'm not pressed or not concerned about any of the games, but it's more the uncertainty. And I just thought about it. I was thinking, did I give a bad call? But I think I gave a good call on something yesterday. So we'll see. I'm just crossing my fingers that it worked out. Um, being patient with yourself and being patient with the process can be very tedious. And writing by hand, believe it or not, forces you to be patient with the process, but it is also very tedious. A lot of people would look at my notebook and be unsure of how I've written so much in it. And the bad part is, I don't remotely write in it as much as I used to. Going back to my earlier point of many times I carry around a notebook, but then I'm like, Brian, you brought it with you, use it, open it up, get some ideas. Like when I was at the event Sunday, which by the way, I did not hold it to my head, leading ladies RVA. If any of you happen to listen to the show or anyone who was on the show, who was on the panel or attended the event, happened to tune in, hold it to my head, not my heart. Um, I did, in fact, have a great time. I did not have any, I had no bad anything about anything. Meaning, when it was like, oh, you know, you were going to speak and you didn't. And I was like, it's not a big deal. It wasn't, sometimes you're intended to be in a space to receive. And it might not even be anything you need to give. Like the message I had literally is three things. Like, I still have yet to read GTD, aka Getting Things Done, but my mental summary of getting things done, start with three tasks. Start with three tasks. What are three things you need to do for the day? Outside of the normal routine thing that you normally are traditionally doing regardless, but three things you need done today. What are they? What do they look like? And are they working towards your personal SMART goals? Many days and many times, it's not our goals that are challenging us, it's us that's challenging ourselves. Take that bar. If you want to keep it, if you want to save it, if you want to go back a couple seconds and re-listen to it, you're welcome. But I really want to make this walk cast today about literally the art of writing. I know last time well, not long ago, I did a talk about why I like digital writing, why I like analog writing, what makes one better than the other. Um, I'm open in this discussion because it's relevant as being part of my process and part of my journey. And that's because I have been, and I know I've shared this endless amounts of times, but I love to share this with people. Writing has been hardwired in my DNA since high school. Rest her soul, Miss Samuels was one of my favorite teachers who kind of, and I say, well, I say high school. I was going to say my senior year, but no, it was actually my freshman year. My freshman year of high school, I can still remember having a set of index cards, the larger index cards, and using that index card to journal. Transferring or transitioning from a child, freshman and senior year, doing index card journaling to now trying to not only just journal, but break the brain down from doing morning pages. Or break the brain down to doing morning pages rather. As I'm doing this walk this morning, this is a super sidebar, but a solid sidebar. There's a TikToker who happened to put up a post that she stitched. And I'm gonna be honest with you, when I first heard the word or the term stitch, I was like, what do you mean stitch? But it's basically you taking what someone originally recorded. And I know I'm breaking this down to a lot of people who listen, like, Brian, we know all this stuff. Why are you talking? But she basically took what someone else recorded, let probably the first 5 or 10 seconds of what she said play out, and then starts giving her spiel. So her spiel and her discussion was about how is she able to get up so early and what's helped her with getting going. And her answer she gave was her morning walks. And to be fulfillingly direct, didn't think in a million years, as I'm nearing the 2 year mark of going to the gym, but also I want to say probably about a few months into starting at the gym, I started these morning walks. I never would think that a morning walk would be the the solution until I started doing it. And it is probably hands down one of my favorite things to do. So much so that it's, and I say this with love, it's not that I don't want people to join me when I do my walk. It's just many times I need this walk to be my walk. And sometimes it's a truthful assessment, but it's also just me accepting where things are. I look at it and I think about a lot of my family members who are no longer here physically, but spiritually and overall, they're still with me on this walk. And part of why they're still with me on this walk is there is an endless journey that is happening in real time that I really don't notice is happening until it's happening. Monday, let me tell you, Monday took everything out of me. Even with me, and it's so crazy because I've noticed this when I go to the gym assessment. We're going off the rails a little bit today, but it is what it is. While doing my workout, well, let me backtrack. Anytime my trainer decides to take out the treadmill, I'm gonna catch it in some other manner. He used the um ladder, I forget what it's called, but it's basically like the ladder that you see whenever athletes are doing like training, they have to do different steps or whatever. I don't want to call it the intensity ladder because I don't think that's called the name of it, but they're just different exercises that you're doing where you're, going box to box and doing these different activities. So he will have me do these different workouts, and different exercises. And in my head, I'm like, fam, there's no way that I'm tired from going up and down a studio doing these few exercises. But here's the plot twist. Not only does he add that as the workout, he'll then add the kettlebell swing, which before I worked out in this gym or before doing any type of this level of training, so I have to remember this is a high intensity training, which is again completely fine. I've never personally worked with or used a kettlebell before. Like I've heard of them, I've seen them, but never personally picked up one to do this type of workout, whether it's swinging it, whether it's whatever. And Monday, there was a plot twist because I no longer was using the 10. I think we went up to the 25. And moving that thing, have your body moving. You don't even realize how much your body is capable of moving until you use that kettlebell. So hear me out. Hear me when I say that thing have you in a workout chokehold. We'll take a quick little timeout and then I'm gonna hop back on and continue this thought. BRB. All right, y'all. Sorry about that. So my brain came back and had a little bit of a moment and realized that it's in fact a it's called the agility ladder. So my bad, y'all. Normally I know and keep track of those things, but that one it was like maybe I was having an out of body moment, but I was having kind of like I don't remember what this is called. But yes, the agility ladder. Uh, and it tests your agility. Trust and believe. That thing be having you go because there's not much of a like once you're in it, it's hard to like break. I want to say break character, but break the flow. And what I said or reference in that regard is because you have somewhat of a structure that you're doing by walking uh, at a very high level on a ladder that's just up and down a in the studio. But I also think too, like it's it's tough to accept, but it's great to feel. My legs are like getting stronger. Mhm. I have my moments where they hurt from time to time, of course, because this is like a different level slash layer of workout. Um, I had heard of HIT training or HIIT. I call it high intensity, but it's another. The second I means something, but uh, it's probably become my favorite type of workout. HIT is almost a more nonchalant meaning of trap cardio, for lack of a better term. I'm not saying that trap cardio is the same thing because they're totally different, obviously. But I see a lot of people do different variants of workouts and exercises, and they get the job done. But writing, I promise y'all, we're gonna be focused today. We're gonna stay on script. We're gonna stay on plan today. I promise. Writing. So there is an artist or writer I'm wanting to say her name is Julia Cameron. I'm probably 100% wrong, but she wrote a book called The Artist's Way. Heard about the book, have heard nothing but great things about the book. And one thing that she emphasizes is morning pages. Now, a lot of people, for good reason, have a love-hate relationship with morning pages, rightfully so. And the reason they do is because it is such a, it's a very, I won't say tricky, but for some people, man, it was loud. For some people, filling 3 pages of information is a lot. I ain't gonna lie to you. Even with me doing my voice recordings, sometimes my voice recordings for my journal goes as long as close to it would feel like 3 pages because I've done over I think about 20 days worth of writing or 20 entries give or take. And I've amassed give or take 30,000 words. Now there's love-hate relationships with annotating written dialogue. One of those things is the obvious. What you said versus what was heard won't be the same. Why I like and here's the thing that's so crazy. An Apple Podcast just implemented this feature before the iOS 18 update. You can basically record any, if you're having podcasts that are uploaded and you're getting an RSS feed to your different platform. Once it's on Apple and once it's approved, from there, Apple pretty much can take your podcast. And if you're not in a space where you can listen to it, you can read what's being said. But I also think, and this is my random theory, and I promise you, I'm getting back to writing. I don't want to think that I don't want you to think that I'm not. This also brings about something that I don't think anyone took into consideration. ADA, American Disability Act. Having this feature available on the podcast app is a useful tool because someone may want to support your podcast, but may not be able to hear it. So you want to have it be of useful resource to have a transcription, which is something I've thought about before with the podcast with Buzzsprout, but I don't really I know people who listen to it on Spotify. I give Spotify 2 years. 2 years they're gonna have that feature baked in like Apple does. Um, YouTube, you can add closed captioning. So there's that option too. Um, it's a wide variety of ways to get it done. But yeah, writing and people who know me know when I say this with pure truth and pure transparency. I have owned or have in possession just about any and every type of pen that your heart could desire when it comes to writing. And why I say that is because every time I sit down and write, it is literally like a wicked real-time math problem of just watching me pick a pen. It's almost like choose your character and you have never played the game before. If you know, you know. But once I'm in that zone of really writing out my thoughts, sometimes I may play some music to kind of clear my head. Sometimes I may just have something to cut the monotony or the idleness in writing, and I can get into that flow state. I've talked about this a little bit before. My recent newsletter, brightnews.wordpress.com, I discuss and address the flow state and how intense it becomes when you're in a flow state. Because once you're in the flow state, it's hard to get out of. Many times, and many people don't like this, the quickest way to get in the flow state is to disconnect. And when I say disconnect, I mean turn your phone. And some like I've had people who say this, like people who give, and I've been on record saying this. A lot of folks would turn this whole Apple and Android thing into such a beef, but it's so dumb because both Apple and Android users use D&D. I live in D&D. Many people know, like, you gotta really be in an urgent space to really hit me up. Um, Sometimes it's the only thing that I don't like about the D&D feature, at least on iPhone, is people can hit you up and can override it. And I personally don't like that ability, but on the flip side, you don't have any control over it. Um, your writing toolkit, and this is not a lot. I'm not throwing this at you to break the bank. And this was the message that I was initially intending to share a while back. The three. So I said GTD, getting things done, and also every morning drink a glass of water. X, thank you for that message. Thank you for that reminder. That has probably been my biggest reminder to myself. Like I got my glass of water in this morning, and usually currently it's like a one hand feeding the other type of ordeal because with me taking some of the meds that I take, I need to have water with it. So win-win in the long run. But a good notebook, I recommend frequently to people the red and black notebook. It's probably my fave. I have I have pretty much attached myself to enough of those notebooks that I'm good. Like I got one right now that I look at it and I'm like, I don't want to write in it. I don't want to write in it because I love how it looks. It's so nice. But the red and black notebook, they have them in different sizes. I think I have like the what I would call the traditional 8.5 by 11, but they do have like the smaller size. They don't have a pocket size that I know of, but you can get a pocket size notebook too if you need one. It's just a quick on the go. Uh, Good ink pen. Now, when I say good ink pen, everyone's controversial. Let's be clear. Pilot V5s, Sharpie S gels, tools. You can't go wrong with any of those three. Those are the three that I would easily start you with. Some people will call me a little crazy. I've kind of outgrown Pilot G2. Don't come for me. Don't scream. Don't yell. Pilot G2s are good pens. They've just, you've used one, you've used them all. And then on top of that, if you're really wanting it to do what it's intended to do, it then becomes like a sharper of a point you need for your pen. And to not get over nerdy, but to bring it home, have not seen, and they probably exist, but your point ones, some people love a point one. The traditional that most of my folks have grown to love is point threes or point three eights. I'm somewhat of a point five guy, but I also don't back away from a point seven. A point seven has been good for me to get my message across to. The Pilot V5 is a point five, obviously. Well, I ain't gonna say obviously because a lot of people don't know why they got V5 and V7 on it. They don't understand what that means. Um, for all my mechanical pencil lovers, 0.5, point 0.7, same exact thing. You got some that use point 0.9s. You got some that use the one, or as my sis call it, the tens. But literally, you would be surprised how far you can go and how much you can get put out there with a pen and paper, pen and a notebook. Any any of those two, pencil or pen, pencil and eraser and pen, notebook, pocket notebook, Tahir notebook, Moleskine, Leuchtturm, the Walmart brand, there's so many. The red and black I just mentioned. I think red and black notebooks are sold. I could be wrong, but I think they're Staples branded only because they're black and red. But they sell them at multiple stores, so I could be 100% wrong. If you want to get fancy a little bit, you can always rock what I call the fountain pen coup de grace. I am a strong advocate of inexpensive fountain pens. There's a misconception that a lot of people think when you hear, and I was one of those people, when you hear or say the word fountain pen, you automatically think expensive, which is actually 100% false. Fountain pens are actually a lot more inexpensive than you realize. Not telling you to go to, I'm not telling you to go to Walmart, Office Depot, Staples, and break your neck trying to get those because they are good pens by far. I have a Parker that I got a while back. I love it. I think, who is it? Walgreens will normally have the Zebra fountain pen, which I think is a good starter pen. The only problem is sometimes you need to have the option to fill your own pen and get a tube or get a bottle to actually fill it. And that way you're not running out of ink. 'Cause I have like two, no, three uh of ink, and they've been nothing but phenomenal to use when I need to refill any of my fountain pens. Because I'm always reminding myself too, like, don't forget about the fountain pens you invested quite a bit in. Even my Studio One family get neglected too. I just thought about that. These are on the pricey side, but they are what you would consider as, and this is gonna sound super techie, but it's not too techie to not make sense, which is the EDC pins or the everyday carry. Everyday carries can be a little tricky, and here's why. I bought the Mark II, I believe. The Mark II is the smaller one, and the Mark II I have a love-hate relationship with for a few reasons. One, I purchased one and I was getting it without the clip because I personally thought, hey, no clip, no problem. So when I got it, came in, I used it for a while, and I didn't comprehend the concept of caring, concerning, not being aggressive because my habit is when I close a pen, it's just close the pen and keep it moving. But with these, it's a little different. So, because it has like a magnetic connection that as soon as you put the pen into the top, it's a quick pop where it snaps in place. So I was doing that so much so that it practically broke the magnets inside the pen. Luckily, Studio One was very nice to gift me another top. I may have had to pay for it. I don't remember. But they sent me the top, and And I just realized too, I'm a little bit wrong. The first one I got was with the clip. And so I got it with the clip, liked it, loved it, was rocking it the whole nine. So fast forward, using the one with the clip, I like it, but something just ain't right with the clip. And basically, what wasn't right with the clip is the clip has a very strong bending ability to it where it bent hard enough where it was hard to bend it back. And I was like, yeah, have we have gotten our good use out of this one, and it's time to let you go. And I let it go. It hurt, but I let the top go. I still have the pin. I just ended up getting a top without a clip. And so I bought one without a clip, and then I bought just a clip a no clip by itself, and then I bought one the full pin without the clip. So I have two of those, and I have the Mark One, which the Mark One is probably like my personal fave, and it was the limited edition because it was like a yellow, which might be the incentive since I've been going back to writing. I have been on the fence with this process of do I want to get a new? Obviously, I'm going to get a new bullet journal, but the question became, do I want to get the the stealth black or do I want the yellow? And after sitting with it for a little bit and processing the option, I think I'm doing the yellow. The reason I'm doing the yellow, which is minor but also major, is the yellow one has probably been the pen that I've needed for a long time. And a fair share of bland and basic black pens. I'm sorry, not black pens, black notebooks over the years. But I think this year or next year, I'm ready to brighten things up a little bit. And the part that's funny about this is that even with me having the different experiences and things that I've went through in life, something has always brought ideas of processes to the forefront. And one of those things is that I'm not too fond of having, and this is a conversation I had on the podcast yesterday. Either we had it during the podcast or after the podcast. I'm not too fond of having the light on me. I like to sit back, chill, be off the radar, not make it known that I'm there, but I'm part of the process. Ironically, the term that is used is behind the screens. And behind the screens has been something that I implemented when when I was really pushing the getting back to IT, but most of all, becoming a developer journey. And I think I'm getting closer to that point. And why I'm saying that or why I'm thinking about it is because I don't know about other people, but I like and need challenges. Challenges help bring a lot of things home, whether you don't want to think about it or whether you're like, look, I got to think about this and I need to really consider it. And lately, I've really had to consider more things than I normally wouldn't. I've battled with who I'm intended to be as a person. I blame no one for it. I don't share this out of pity. I'm not sharing it as a woe is me, stop the world. And I'm gonna say this now while I since I just finished walking. I know a lot of times between my journaling, between my digital journaling, between the different things that I'm sharing, burden and pity are two words that I gotta leave in 2024. I need to just let them be and let them sleep, let them become dormant. But I am appreciative now of being in the space of tech. And I personally see that I want tech to be my vibe, but I also don't want tech to be my dominating factor. Meaning, if I'm doing things in tech, of course, tech it up, make it happen. But I want tech to be tech and I want life to be life. Now, the challenge with that is my newsletter is digital, my design work is digital, my podcast is digital. So it's like I have these things digital, but then there are the things that I personally am into that I need to make physical. For instance, physical journaling, physical planning. My planning with my bullet journal has probably catapulted in endless leaps and bounds over the years, just on the strength of me truly knowing my true value, my true worth to what I'm doing. And at first, I was very skeptical of what and how I did things, but over time now I'm like, this all is intended to be how it is for a reason. And you need to embrace the reason and not fight the urge to go against the grain. Like I just mentioned a few moments ago, the yellow notebook, and I'm gonna do once I order it, once it comes in, gonna do a full unpack, a full discussion, and there's gonna be a story because the truth is I've been long in need of accepting that it's time for my light to shine. I have been so concerned about how people feel about certain things or what something looks like compared to others. Like I shared this with a few and I'll talk about it here because friends of friends and folks have been very helpful with input and I'm never denying their input whatsoever. Um I did a poll or survey, and I asked a few of my friends, and I asked online. Online, I didn't get any interaction, but I know why, because Threads is kind of tricky. Twitter, I may post it on Twitter and see if there's engagement with it. I'm not pressing the issue, but I wanted to know, do people prefer long form or short form content? Now, the obvious answer, which I'm not against at all, is it depends, because it really does depend. If you are needing a tutorial or you're needing a breakdown, short form is not going to be the way. TikTok did a thing. And I noticed when TikTok did this, it was something that mixed me up a little bit. But now I think I need to move the needle back a little bit with how I move with doing TikTok. TikTok gives you, so TikTok was, to give context, your options initially with TikTok were 15 seconds or a minute. That was it. And I knew in a minute's time, I could get a good amount of information out there. If I go back and find videos, it was baffling where I started with my TikTok channel. And even thinking of my first, like, because I had another page, Bright 1982, and I can't access it. I think it's because it's connected to an old number, but nothing to make any big to do over. It's not the end of the world. But I opened the past page, and when I opened that page and when TikTok was first getting going, I remember because I think I got on like I didn't get on in the height of COVID. I got on like the following year after I was leaving working in healthcare. I mean, I was still in healthcare, but I wasn't directly in the trenches of healthcare. And I literally got on TikTok. It was like I said, it was 15 seconds or a minute. They did updates, and over time, they pushed it 3 minutes. In my opinion, 3 minutes should have been the cutoff. But then the influencer bags became a thing. And what I mean by that is a lot of a lot of content creators, a lot of influencers became very aware of how to use TikTok as a space to promote, to provide content, to really make what you have be available. Between the 10-minute option and also everybody now can go live, it's a little rough in them TikTok streets. Not gonna lie to you. But I say all of that to say, first and foremost, I wanna be clear. Anyone that gave feedback or anyone that I asked and they gave their responses or their thoughts on it, thank you. I'm still gonna talk to more folks on this because I personally prefer doing longer videos sometimes on TikTok, but I also understand too, people don't come to TikTok for quick videos, just like they don't go to Instagram for quick videos. So you're in a dilemma, but you're not in a dilemma because what you can always do is, which I've been really, 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 really considering doing, is push it on YouTube. Like I have a YouTube channel now. Like now, my YouTube channel is probably more active than it's been in a while. And I say active just in the sense that my podcasts are automatically pushing over to YouTube, which I appreciate 100%. Um, I hate to say it that way, but thank you, Google Podcasts, for hiding and saying we ain't doing it no more because now people are getting the content on YouTube. But it's caused me to really think of like, all right, can I start doing videos on YouTube? And I say all of that, and even I'll share the story and then I'll wrap this up. I had a YouTube channel before, and a lot of people know this, a lot of people don't know this, but I had a very solid, decent YouTube channel. Like I was doing different videos, I was setting up cameras, setting up my phone, or setting up things to like really. Or matter of fact, I didn't even. I take that back. I was not even using my phone. This is how joke on me all you want. Say I'm old. I don't care. This was webcam and like webcam and trusting your webcam mic days. That's how far back we're going. Because you didn't have really microphone sources were not what they are now. Like you had people with microphones, but the Yeti was nowhere near what the Yeti is now. Like I could use today, I could use the Yeti and record a video and get a really good video with a Logitech camera with no problem. Uh, I'll take it a step further. If you use like the default camera on any laptop, they will give you a very good quality video to record or to save or whatever. But all that being said, I'm like I said, I'm learning now, at least from what I've gathered, and like I said, I'm still gonna do some deep digging because at the end of the day, it's still my content. I can post whatever I want, and you either rock with it or you don't, and I ain't mad. But um, long form, this is long form. Like podcasts, people are listening to podcasts expecting a good discussion. They're not expecting you. If you do a podcast and it's 10, 15 minutes, they're gonna be like, where's the rest of the show? What happened? Is everything okay? But short form and long form, I'd say long form is YouTube, podcasts, some some lives. I'd say some lives is questionable. And then short form is basically your reels, your stories, your TikToks. If you still rocking with it, your Snapchat got a crazy, I won't tell it here, but I mean, I can tell it. It's not a big deal. I helped someone with a podcast, and in the process of helping them, after we did the show, great show, finished the show, and then when we finished, I was asked about someone who was a mutual, and I said, yeah, I keep up with them, blah, whatever, whatever. And she gave some thoughts on that. What was crazy about this whole interaction is, as I said it, I picked up my phone, and on Snapchat, this same person's something they had posted, a new story happened to pop up, and I was like, what are the freaking odds? It was scary, but it wasn't scary because it's just how things work. And I want to leave you out with this. And I know I said I was gonna wrap up, but I'm gonna wrap this up with this. Don't, and I almost said it. I was gonna really bludgeon it, but I'm gonna say it just for what it is. Don't hate the player, hate the game. And what I mean when I say that is everyone playing this game a life different. The end. Everyone is doing what they can with what they have to get to their intended fulfillment, completion, whatever. And it's going to look different for everyone. We have to put ourselves in this position to allow what is, and what isn't. Forcing, and I didn't talk about this on the show that I was on yesterday, but I share this, and it's something that I remember. I still remember this conversation 2 years ago, because 2 years ago, a lot of life transitioned. And when I say a lot of life transition, a lot of things in my life really had to go through what they went through to get me to where I am now. And when I say that, I mean it in the sense that you sometimes have to not force puzzle pieces where they don't belong. We cannot force people to be in VIP if they are meant to be in the balcony. We cannot keep people in the balcony who are deserving of VIP treatment. We cannot bring folks to the balcony who are really not even supposed to be in our presence or in our space. And the thing that's so odd and so real about it is, in due time, people will be placed where they belong. And it's either going to be you placing them where they belong, or life is going to place them where they belong. And for a lot of people, life placing them where they belong is very uncomfortable. And I am a living witness to it in noticing and observing the interactions that have happened over my life. And I say it that way only because of the simple fact that some people should be closer to me, but decisions were made and options were chosen, and here we are. And yes, it sucks, but no, I don't care. And I say the no, I don't care in that regard only because I am not giving myself the ability to be stressed over something that isn't worth stressing about. And that's what I got. So I hope you all enjoyed this walkcast. I'm gonna get inside, start on my morning workout, and get started with my day, do my planning, do my intentions, do my morning pages, and also too, and I want to add this before I go. Just because you hear me say to do these things or I recommend different things to you, none of this will probably work for you. And I'm saying this honestly, openly, and directly. I have a friend who her and I don't even say we argue or get into it. We always have good discussions about how she is a digital girl. And I respect the digital game to a T. But I'm always pushing back. And then I have another friend who is also like very digital heavy. And I always push back because I always remind people, if your mobile devices are all dead, you do not want to be in a position of running to a charger or not, or being out in public and you have no source to charge an accessory. Because what most people do, and this is just honest truth because it's just me speaking on it, most people don't have power banks. So they don't have an ability to charge up said device that's dying. But then if the device is dead, what benefit is charging it? And then you're going to do the obvious thing of using it while it's charging. Now we're going to affect the battery life. Wash, rinse, repeat. Like, come on, y'all. It's right in front of us. Like, we're not. I don't know how we're. I don't know, or I can't see how we're missing this thing in our real time. Uh, I had a mental thought real quick of thinking of the fact. So I have the iPad Pro. Love the iPad Pro. I've had it for close to 3 years. Great accessory, great resource. I'd say if you are getting an iPad and you're not sure what to get, it's a good one to have. Like the 11 inches is not a bad one. Some people prefer the big boy, but I just think of portability and just me being on the go. But I will say, if it ever became a point where me and my iPad we just weren't working out, which right now we're great. We are conjoined, we are twinning. But if at any point we decided to have a moment, I would easily say to anyone, I would quickly say to go ahead and get the iPad mini. But if you get the iPad mini, and this is my emphasis, a reminder, do not buy the new iPad mini. The only reason I'm saying don't buy the new one is because the new one that just came out will require you to use the Apple Pencil Pro. I love the Apple Pencil Pro, do not get me wrong, but I do not think as of right now, because I don't even think the Apple Pencil Pro is a year old. I would give it a little bit of time, let some prices drop on it possibly, let it get its newness off, and then get one. If you're looking at doing the new Apple, if you're looking at doing the iPad mini, or even if you're looking at getting the Pro or the Air, because I think both the Pro and the Air are going with the same size concept, or went with the same size concept for both of them, which I think is cool. Um, we're likely overdue, or we're going to see an iPad, like the original iPad refresh that's coming soon, because they still are pushing the iPad needle. But the problem is just the product doesn't have the same push as the product had before. So do with that information what you will. And yeah, man, I know I talked y'all head off long enough, but I hope you all have an amazing day whenever you listen to this show. And until next time, this is BT signing out.
Truly hope you all enjoyed the show. Definitely was a lot to unpack, but I know you'll walk away with something important. As I share at the end of each season, do find your way to get into podcasting if it's something you would like to do. My podcasts are currently recorded via Buzzsprout. Been very good to me. If you want to learn more about using them, definitely hit me up at thepastbtpod@gmail.com. And also the microphone that you're hearing me on is the Blue Yeti X. Have been rolling with it for over 3 years. We've been doing this ride for quite some time, so I hope someone could find this mic useful. Again, find those people who are good or helpful in what you're trying to do to be better today than you were yesterday. The primary goal is to be 1% better. Hope you all have an amazing day, and we'll be back again to do this next time.